country's assets. Well, joining me now from Athens is Elena Panaritis, a Greek MP and Special Advisor to Greece's Prime Minister George Papandreou. Many thanks for joining us. Nice to see you. What do you make of that suggestion from Germany that Greece's tax collection is so poor you need help from EU officials?
Well, we have known that our main problem is the way our public sector is operating, and that is one of the main reasons that we're having a crisis. Our crisis is not a liquidity crisis, but a structural reform, a sovereign crisis. And it does come from the fact that although we do increase tax rates, we still don't have the suggested revenue increases. That's therefore the type of structural reforms that we have started engaging to do for the last year.
I mean, you said it, you have a solvency crisis, not a liquidity crisis, and yet when you look at what's happened since these austerity measures were put in place, the deficit, the budget deficit, has widened. The problem is getting worse. Let's face it, you are heading for a spectacular default.
That actually is not true. We have reduced our budget deficit by our deficit by 6 percentage points, which is a huge record of all other European Union countries from in 2010. We've actually reduced it by 11 billion euros. The concern has been that the structural reforms take, unfortunately, longer time than the actual fiscal reforms, which are the measures we have taken for the last year. We have only started engaging into that austerity program a year ago. Structural reforms show returns longer than a year ago. It took 17 years for the UK to have actual reforms and actual tangible outcomes from the reforms it took. So a year is a short while, I would say.
Well, I would dispute the point about whether or not your budget deficit is widening, but let's move on. It seems pretty clear you can't pay your way, you can't collect taxes. The unions are resisting reform. Very soon you will have to throw in the towel on the euro, will you not? You simply cannot afford to be inside the eurozone.
Well, it's an interesting point of view you're bringing about. We do have choices, and we have chosen to remain in the euro, and that's why we have followed the program. We have shown returns and better outcomes than the other 3 countries that have engaged in the program. It is, however, true that there are a lot of pressures, and we want to have results faster than we would expect them to have them. So we have engaged into a much faster structural reform program that started already in the 21st of August, and about a month ago, almost 3 weeks ago, and we continue doing so. But as I said, we do need to be a little more patient about our returns and our tangible results.
Reuters is running a story today under the headline "Greek money running out amid opposition to tax hike." And a finance minister invites us to believe, really, that you could possibly simply run out of cash. Are you going to do so?
That is a true statement, that there is a possibility of running out of cash, especially if we don't get the suggested program tranches, disbursements that we're expected to receive. That's the reason we got engaged into the IMF and Troika, European Union and European Central Bank program about 14 months ago. So that's why we're moving on as fast as possible to be able to not get into this situation.
All right, Elena Panaritis, many thanks for that frank admission. Well,
thank you.
Just a few days before